if you were to make the case that Ben Simmons gets back to being an important on-court figure, cog on a good NBA team, I
Hmm.
think you could sell me on like the current Brooklyn situation being kind of that situation that you would be looking for at this point, where we talked about the Dame trade or sending like if you did move Ben Simmons, where could you move him to? And one of the things about Brooklyn or Portland that always made sense was like he can just go away and just they're on a team that is not very like they're it's just a different market. The Portland market will it will just be nice. He can kind of go away and get better and see what happens to be not be out of the spotlight, be out of a big market, whether it's Philly, Brooklyn, whoever. Like just get away for a little bit and just play basketball and work through your mistakes and everything else. But Brooklyn now is in that Kenny Atkinson era that we got to, where they went back and it's just they have a bunch of players that we like. The Cam Johnsons, the Mikal Bridges, they're everywhere. Just a bunch of solid NBA role players to I mean Mikal's case probably like maybe like I would say like Chris Middleton on a title team. Like maybe that's his upside where he's a number two for an elite big in today's game. Like that could be he could be a number two there on a championship team, but not the best player on a championship team. But that's okay. Brooklyn is in that spot right now. This does feel like I'm not saying I'm going to go out and believe this, but when I look at this roster and I look at their current situation and there not being any pressure to win now and not being any pressure for Ben Simmons to live up to his what it says on his contract, I do kind of see where Mikal is coming from, and maybe there is some reason to believe that he could surprise some people and find his way back on the court and be an interesting figure with this group of young Nets. What do you think?
I mean, it's possible. I don't know. Well, like if I had to pick the odds, I don't know how like optimistic I would be about that. But at the same time, like, yeah, it's certainly a thing. I mean, if you look at it, it is a different Brooklyn Nets team. It is more of a Kenny Atkinson team, which, mind you, big market, still get some attention. I think Ben Simmons likes some of the attention anyway. But
Mm-hmm.
also, like, the expectations are different. And for that, like, you're going to see their ESPN games probably get slashed in half, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, they're not as exciting. You'll probably see them on NBA TV once or twice on TNT. Okay, maybe 4 or 5 times. But, like, the point being, like, they're not that big a team. So some of the
Mm-hmm.
spotlight will be off of it. It's different when you have a Kevin Durant and a Kyrie Irving. Remember James Hart. Well, James Hart was traded for him. So like
Mm-hmm.
you have these bigger names swirling around. Of course it's gonna be a lot more attention. But now the expectations have lightened. And yeah, you could kind of think about an idea where Ben Simmons, okay, focus on running the floor, pushing the pace, kicking the ball around shooters, maybe getting back to some of that defensive tenacity you had back in Philly when you were a rising star, a little bit of everything, kind of get back to you. And maybe not even be old Ben Simmons, just be the guy who is a solid player to a team that is trying to see who they are, and that makes sense. You have a team right now trying to figure out who they are. You have a player in Ben who's trying to figure out who he is. So like let that be learning for everyone. I think that's the potential there. I don't know if I buy it. Like the mentality looks gone, man. Like he's looked. I mean, if you're not doing it, it'd be. And there's been players who do that.
Mm-hmm.
The lights are brightest and they kind of fly away, and then the lights go off, and it's like, hey, we're back, we're good.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking Ramon Sessions,
Mm-hmm.
like with the Lakers, just horrible. And the next year, I went to Charlotte, and was very solid. And say, oh, all right, it's a comfort zone. Not everyone's built for that, and that's fine. So we'll see for Ben Simmons. The thing is, he was in one of the tougher areas in Philly doing it. So we'll kind of see. I'm not overly optimistic that that's the case. I really think he's kind of done. But at the same time, the blueprint is there for him to play that way. And now he's on a team where he will have more of that. He wasn't, you weren't doing that when KD handled the ball as much as he did in Kyrie. I took away some of Ben's strengths, and the way he was playing defensively with his back and everything was not great. So maybe we go away from point center, Simmons and C, but also like Jacque Vaughn didn't seem the biggest fan of his, So I mean, at the end of the day, you still gotta like I'm glad Mikal Bridges likes you, but there's a coach who's gonna play you. So we'll see how his role fits there.
When you think Cam Johnson, you think Nick Claxton, you think Mikal Bridges, and you think Spencer Dinwiddie, and then you throw in Ben Simmons in that foursome. Like let's say Dorian Finney-Smith is out one game, he's hurt, whatever. Does that starting five work for Ben to be effective? Is that the kind of roster you would have around Ben Simmons?
I mean, I like to maximize the shooting. I
Mm-hmm.
think you have a guy in Dinwiddie who's not the best shooter who will need the ball in his hands a little bit. And then a guy in Claxton who needs to be on the floor as well, but also like a non-shooter. So the floor would be kind of cramped a little bit. I think you want a little more spacing there. Personally around Ben, whether it's an all 5 out or whatever, and if he gets some size there, great. So he can actually like have guys to like rebound stuff with, but also be the primary guy. As far as Mikal and Cam, like those are the type of players I think can play anybody. But I also think that they will work well alongside Ben because defensively they can hold their own their position. They space the floor out very well, and also they're not really big on-ball guys. Mikal Bridges definitely grew a lot on his on-ball handling chops this past year, but like in general, that's not really his game yet, and maybe it is now. And if so, him and Ben could take turns. But as it stands, that would give Ben the on-ball reps he needs to maximize his effectiveness on the offensive end. Defensively, he has some additional help. He's not the last line of defense, and he can also bring his talents to bear when it comes to rebounding as well and pushing the pace. So I definitely think a lineup like that is similar. Let's just maybe get a 5 with some more space or go small ball and try to see if that works out.
Do you think we're headed towards a scenario where the Donovan Mitchell trade's one of the worst trades in the last 20 years?